Hello everybody and welcome. Today I'm here with my two iconic bikes, the DR650 SE and the XRV 750 Africa Twin. And I decided to do this video to show you the difference between these bikes, what they have in common, and which bike do I think is a better bike in my opinion. So if you have nothing to do, come with me to find out. So welcome back guys, this is Adrian here, 44 Degrees Motorbike Adventures, and if you're new to this channel and like the content, please consider subscribing. So yeah, two iconic bikes, they have been on the road for a while. Both of them were released in 1990s. Both of them had many upgrades and many versions. The RD07 here, the Africa Twin, was the last version of that Honda released. And the DR is still in production in the United States and New Zealand, as the same bike as was 35 years ago. Unfortunately for us in Europe, in 2001, both of these bikes ceased production, because of emission regulations here in Europe. So recently enough, Suzuki announced that there's a release of the new DR650 S and SM in Europe with the fuel injection to comply with the emission regulations. So we hope that Suzuki will do the same for the DR650, which is a great and iconic bike, which will have a lot of marketing in Europe, I think, in my opinion. So a while ago, I did a comparison of the XRV 750 here with my Transalp 700. And at the time, I actually show you both the bikes and the difference between them and which bike I thought was the better bike in my opinion. So if you haven't seen the video, I have got a link for you here guys to see. Since then I sold the Transalp 700 and I bought the DR650, and I also did a video to explain why I sold the Transalp 700. So if you actually haven't seen the video, just have a look at that. So what's the difference between these two bikes? I'm not going to go into the details of like the specification of both them and comparing, because there's a lot of information out on the internet that you can look at them, and I don't want to make this video to become a longer video than it should be. But just to give you an idea, the DR here is 147 kg, the XRV is 205. The standard DR setup is a 13-liter tank, while the XRV is 23-liter tank with the 4 in the reserve, and I'm not sure how much is the reserve of the 13 liter, so I'll have to have a look for you for that. The wheel setup is the same, 21/17 for both of the bikes, and as you can see, the DR here has have got many models to become a better bike on the pavement, and the XRV I have actually installed a few things to protect the bike more because of the fairings. So how do these bikes differ from each other when you're riding them? What's the difference between that? How does it feel? Well, the DR feels more like a dirt bike because it's lighter. When you come from the XRV with that much weight, it feels very light bike, and it's a good thing in one way and it's not in another way, and I'll explain to you in a minute why do I mean that. Let's say in the pavement, if you want a bike for a long journey in the pavement, the XRV is a great bike because it's heavy. It doesn't actually have is not prone to crosswind, it has more fairings, it protects you more from the wind. The standard screen here is great. It does a really great job. I'm only 5'11", so it does protect a lot. You don't need any other setup than that. The headlights are great as well. We don't need any other headlights. I don't find the need for that. Some people do install the additional auxiliary lights on this bike, and I don't think it's necessary for me, in my opinion. It's a really good off-road capable bike, but I'll explain to you in a minute why I think the DR is much better than that. But on the pavement, this bike is great. It can take you on longer journeys. The tank is 23 liters, can take you farther, and it's a very comfortable bike to ride. It does the corner very well. It's a very stable bike. The V-twin engine is very smooth, and the gearbox as well. And it's a great bike to ride. There's enough power, enough torque to overtake on the motorways, even if you have luggage or pillion passenger. And it's just a great bike on the pavement. The DR, on the other hand, it needs a lot of upgrade in order to become a better bike on the pavement, especially if you are planning to take this bike on a long journeys. And it can be done. A lot of people have traveled around the world with this bike, but it does need a few things. And if you look in the internet, there's a lot of people that have done a lot of upgrades, and that some people go to the extreme of making this bike completely a different bike altogether to suit their needs. But you don't have to go to that extreme. With a few upgrades on this bike, it becomes a really better bike on the pavement. You're definitely going to need a bigger tank because the 13-liter tank is very small. So this one I installed the XRV is 20-liter. You're definitely going to have a taller screen because the shortest screen has no protection whatsoever. And as you can see, the bike has no fairings. The bike will need definitely an upgrade on the seat because the seat is very uncomfortable. You need to install a gel on the seat or upgrade your seat with something better. Again, there's a lot of people that have done that, so you can take a look at what they've done. I only actually add gel to the seat. The handlebars the original handlebars are very, very soft. You're definitely going to have to upgrade them because even my one came already bented. So this one I installed the rental handlebars, and it's a nice solid bar. Hand guards as well, you're definitely going to need because this bike is going to be taking more off-road than you think. The handlebar, the protection here that comes from this bike is only for the wind. And you need a few other things like carburetor injections, better mirrors, and on and on and on. And you can go crazy and upgrade this bike as much as you want. But for me, those few things, if you do that, it becomes a much better bike for you on the pavement. I haven't done anything to do with the carburetor on this bike, not rejecting the carburetor. I think the bike suits me like this. Again, I haven't taken this bike for long trips, so I don't know exactly if that making the adjustment on the carburetor, rejecting or something like that will make this bike a better bike on the pavement. But no matter what you do with this bike, it was never going to be the same as the XRV on the pavement. Not a chance. The bike is very light. On the motorways, you get like crosswinds. If it's raining and windy, you're gonna feel more. You get more tire because it's a single cylinder. It vibrates a lot. If you have knobs like I do here, you're gonna actually feel the noise of the knobs, even if you have earplugs, because I usually ride this bike with earplugs. So yeah, it's never gonna be a bike that is really, really good on the pavement as the XRV is. But again, you're gonna gain on the off-road side of it. So off-road is where the DR shines. The DR is on its environment when it's off-road. This bike, it's amazing off-road. It's light, it's easy to pick up, have no fenders, no fairings, sorry, and there's no much that it can be damaged. If you come to a track where you come to a dead end, it's very easy to do a U-turn with this bike and come back. You're not going to feel that you're going to be stuck in there. It gives you more confidence for you to ride by yourself off-roading, because if you drop, it's easy to pick it up. And it's taller, it's slimmer. If you get a good like off-road tires, the only limitation will be how the rider of this bike will handle this bike off-road. But this bike is very easy to handle off-road than compares with the XRV. The XRV, on the other hand, is an off-road capable bike, but again, the weight of this bike, it does prohibit you from doing extra things, from you to pushing this bike to this limit, especially if you're by yourself. And if you drop as well, you're going to have damages in this bike, and most of people will install a crash bar because of the fairings, and that would add extra weight to the bike. Again, it is off-road capable. Yeah, it is. You can go to certain off-road terrains, but you cannot push this bike to the limit as much as you can push the DR. On the DR, you can go to a single track, you can go to the middle of the forest with it, and you'll be fine. But with the XRV by yourself, it will be a challenge. If you drop, it's going to be hard to pick it up. And I'm telling you, even if you watch many videos about how to pick up a bike properly, depending how you drop this bike, it's going to be very, very hard for you to lift it up again. So on that, you would discourage you from going more off-road. So that DR here, it's a much better bike off-road than the XRV is. So that's where the DR shines. It might not shine on the pavement as the XRV does, but it shines off-road, and it is a better bike off-road. In terms of maintenance and issues, both of these bikes have issues since they came from the factory. Like the DR here has the issue with the common issue with this bike is the neutral signal unit that the bolts might fall inside the gearbox, so that needs to be checked. The XRV will have a problem with the fuel pump or the rectifier, which can actually fry the whole wiring. And but again, most of the previous owners will probably have addressed these issues on these bikes, so it's only a matter for you to check and make sure that they've done that. Other than that, the engines of both of these bikes are great, really bulletproof engines, very easy to work on. The maintenance of these bikes are quite easy, especially the DR, because have no fairings. There's no fairings to be taken out. But again, the seat is bolted in, so you have to unbolt the seat, while the XRV doesn't have it. You can take the seat with the key, but again, you have to take the fairings out. So it becomes, but they are both easy to work on. Once you get into the taking the tank out, it's easy to do valve checks, it's easy to do an oil change, it's easy to do the spark plugs and so on. It's a much easier bike to learn to how to work on it. The electronics is very simple. The DR, for example, only has the speedometer. The XRV have a little bit more stuff on it, like the trip master and the tachometer, temperature gauge, but neither of these bikes have a fuel gauge, which is a disadvantage in my opinion, because especially the XRV, because I think instead of the temperature gauge here, they should have installed like a fuel gauge. But you learn to live with that, and that's the way it is. So I don't want to make this video longer, so what bike do I think is a better bike in my opinion here? Well, that's hard to say. I'm very happy that I have both of them, and I can use the XRV for long journeys and maybe a little bit light off-roading, and I can use the DR here for more serious off-roading and travel mostly locally. But if you were to pick one, it depends exactly what you want to do. If you are thinking about going off-road more often and pushing yourself to the limits, go more serious off-road, then the DR is the bike for you. And if you're thinking that you're probably going to go off-road occasionally or maybe light off-road, and you want a bike more comfortable that can take you on long journeys, the XRV is the bike for you. Both of these bikes, as I say, can take you on long journeys. The DR needs a little bit more upgrades in order to become a better bike on the pavement. Again, it will never be as comfortable as the XRV is. But yeah, you can still do it. You can still travel around the world with this bike. So again, it's up to you to decide which bike is a better bike here. For me, both of these bikes are great in their own ways. Both have advantages, both have disadvantages, both shine in one place, like the DR shines off-road, the XRV shines on the pavement. Anyway, so I hope this video actually gives you an idea of both of these bikes, and if you are thinking about getting one of them, can help you to make your decision about these two bikes. Definitely you need to try them, you need to sit one of those, and you need to ride them to see, because just looking at them and see the specs and talking about them is not enough. You need to feel, you need to actually get these bikes out there and see how does it suit you. So again, thanks very much guys for watching. I see you guys next time.